Hello everyone, this is an introduction video to group displacement part 1 to show you how to solve the first exercises and to find out what is the minimum rate for a particular group. So for that, if you follow the exercises that are published for you, in the Excel sheet you have 3 different exercises that you can solve, and we will solve exercise 1 and 2. First thing that we have to look into, obviously, is the displacement analysis, followed by the contribution analysis, and then we will find out all the steps until we reach the minimum rate. For this particular group here, they are looking forward to come to stay with us for 4 days, and they want to use the ballroom in our hotel free of charge, and we have 100 rooms in the hotel. Again, this is also marked here on the top. They are going to give us 75 rooms per night, okay, so 75 rooms for 4 days, and at this moment in time their budget is 120. We have forecasted 60 rooms on the first day, 20 on the second day, the group is staying 15 on the third day, and 30 on the fourth day. The ADR for all these transient room nights is 200 per room per night, obviously. All right, so we're going to fill in the displacement analysis first. We're first going to fill in the forecast, meaning how many transient bookings do we have booked already at this moment. So as it says here, day number 1 is 60, day number 2 is 20, day number 3, 15, and on the fourth day, 30. Then how large is the group? Okay, as it says, 75 rooms per night. That's 75 for all 4 of them. And now we need to find out how many rooms do we need to displace. That means how many rooms can we not accommodate from the transients over here, because we obviously have a limit of 100 rooms per night. So how are we going to calculate this? I'm going to do this here on the side so we can then fill in the correct figure. So we're going to take 60 transient guests forecasted plus 75 from the group. And then we need to obviously take off the 100 rooms, which is our total capacity. And therefore we find out that 35 rooms are over, meaning 35 rooms cannot be accommodated. Why? Because 60 plus 75 is already more than 100. So we can here write 35. Now if we're doing the same with the days to come, so it's 20 plus 75, 20 plus 75 minus 100. Here you can see -5. Okay, what does that mean? Means we still have 5 rooms to sell, because we're only reaching 95 rooms occupied. So there are no rooms to displace because we can still sell 5 more rooms. So obviously here displacement would be 0. Then for the following day, third day, 15 plus 75 minus 100 is -10. So again, we have 10 rooms left to sell. Displacement will be 0. And for the third and fourth and final day, it's 30 plus 75 minus 100 once more. And that gives us a displacement of 5 rooms, which we're going to write in here. So in total, we know that if we're accepting the group for 4 nights and our forecast does not change, we need to displace in total 40 rooms. So again, we cannot accommodate 40 transient bookings. Now we're going to find out if that makes sense for us, if it's okay for us to take this group and still make money if we have to displace those transients. So before we can do that, we go into the contribution analysis. And we're going to fill in if the group is bringing us any additional revenue. Well, at this moment in time, the main ballroom, they want to negotiate free of charge. It doesn't say any charge here. So obviously this is going to be 0. There's no margin, there's no contribution, and there's no revenue. Also, they're not taking any F&B or audiovisual, AV. So again, all of this is going to be 0. They're not bringing us any additional contribution. Now the big question is the contribution with their room nights enough for us to cover the transient? And that's how we're going to find out with those steps here in order to calculate the minimum rate. So first we find out the contribution per room, meaning the contribution that we would receive from every transient booking. How do we find out that? We take the ADR, which is 200, minus our variable cost of 20 euros per room, so 118. Right? That's the contribution per room. Now we find out how much this 118 mean in reflection to the 40 transient guests that we are displacing. So we're going to calculate 180 times 40, meaning how much room revenue am I not gaining when I displace, meaning get rid of, if you will, or cancel those 40 transient bookings. So 7,200 euros need to be covered by the group. If they don't cover this amount, we're not going to accept them. Now, next step, auto contribution. That will be obviously now a factor because the group could cover not only the rooms, they could also take additional revenue and they would cover obviously additional contribution. As we just discussed here, since the group is not taking anything, auto contribution is 0 because they're not taking meeting rooms at this moment in time, at least free of charge, no F&B and no audiovisual. So the total contribution that we need is only what we're displacing, the 7,200. That's all we need to cover. Total number of rooms requested is now the step that we need in order to find out the minimum rate. So that is basically how many room nights is the group staying in total. We know they're staying 75 rooms for 4 nights. So 75 times 4. 300 room nights in total are requested. Now, how are we going to find out the minimum contribution per room, meaning how much is the group contributing per room? We're going to take the total contribution divided by the 300 room nights in total. That's very important. We're not just calculating it for one day, we're calculating it for the entire stay of the group. Here, 24. Yeah, 0, 0. So that's the minimum contribution that we're getting from the group room. That is not going to be our minimum rate. Our minimum rate is going to include the variable costs again, because we have calculated them here in the beginning on top for the transients, and now we need to calculate the same thing for the group. So we need to plus it back basically. So we take the minimum contribution per room plus the 20 euros for the variable cost. And there you go. This is your minimum rate that you're going to charge for this particular group. 44 euros, right? What does it mean? If we manage to charge these 44 euros to the group, we are able to cover the total displacement of the transient guests, meaning the 7,200 euros. Therefore, the group is bringing us the same amount of money than the transient guests. Again, we argued in class already that transient guests might spend more money in extras like F&B and spa and that sort of thing. Fair enough. And because the group is currently not taking any additional contribution, you could say right now at this moment in time, I end up with having, let's say, 0 difference in revenue. I just achieve exactly the same. No problem, but one thing we still need to consider is the group budget, 120 euros per night. So if my minimum rate is 44, but they are willing to pay 120, good news for me. First, I'm going to say yes to the group. And I'm going to also say we can match your budget of 120 euros. Of 120 euros, meaning we will sign the agreement with 120, right? That means we are actually still gaining additional revenue, because if you calculate the 120 that the group is willing to pay per room per night minus the 44 that I necessarily need, meaning I'm making 76 euros per room per night additionally. So that is a definite yes to the group, because only from the transient with 7,200, I'm not probably going to achieve the same revenue additionally per room per night. That's the solution for the first exercise. And now in exercise number 2, the scenario is a little bit different. So we're going to again guide ourselves through the exact steps. We again have 100 rooms in the hotel, and we have a group who wants to again use the ballroom in our hotel and wants to come for 3 days, right? The budget is again 120 per room per night. Forecast 75 rooms, and then 50 and 30 rooms and 14 for the last. Again, ADR is 200. So let's fill this in directly. We're going to say forecast 50 rooms on the first day, 30 rooms on the second, and 15 on the third. Group size is 75 per room per night. There you go. So we can calculate again how many rooms do we need to displace. 25 and And here, obviously, again, because it says -10, we need to change that to 0, meaning we're only going to displace 30 rooms over the entire stay of the group if we accept them at this moment in time. Okay. Then, next thing that we need to find out is the contribution analysis. Here we have actually additional contribution from the group because they're paying for the meeting room and they're paying for F&B and they're paying also some additional audiovisual. So they have rented some equipment, I assume. Maybe a DJ, whatever, all of that is together in that 3,000. So we're getting 5,000 from the meeting room rental. So that's our revenue. I'm going to put that in here, 5,000. Then we're getting 15,000 in F&B. I assume some lunch, maybe some dinner or coffee breaks. And audiovisual is 3,000. Perfect. That's the revenue. Now I want to know how much contribution it actually means. So we need to deduct the variable costs, which are given to us here. Variable cost per room. Not important just yet. We will fill this in here in a second. Room rental, 80%, F&B 35%, and audiovisual 50%. Remember again, if it says contribution margin, means that's how much money we are gaining. So as an example, if the room rental is 80% margin, the cost is 20%. So you can actually just enter the contribution margin here as a percentage, because the formula is set up to make your life easy. And then the contribution would be just revenue times the variable cost. So we can say that from the meeting room, we have 80% margin. The contribution that we are getting is 4,000 euros. Now, if you like to drag down the formula, you can see here F&B 15,000 times 35. We are actually then gaining 5,250. Not too bad. And meeting room rental is 50, so obviously 3,000 divided by 2, 1,500. In total, the group is bringing us additional revenue, apart from the rooms, of 10,750. That's very important because we need to consider this here now in one moment. So if you like, you can already fill in that cell right now. Now, coming back to the contribution per room for our transients. Again, we take the ADR of 200 minus the variable cost here is this time 30 euros. Oops. Sorry, and 200 minus 30 gives us a contribution per room per day of 170. Now that is very important again, so we find out what is the revenue that we're displacing. 170 times 30, 5,100. Now what is the total contribution needed? And that's the important step here. Obviously it's going to be the total of the displacement minus other contribution that we are gaining. Why is that? Because the other contribution is something that we need to additionally consider as a positive factor from the group. So they're getting us more revenue. So we need to offset that, if you will, against the minimum rate that we're going to charge them per room, because that revenue is already going to come in. Meaning we need to take it off from the displacement. Now you see the contribution that is needed is negative. 5,650. That's already a good sign. That already tells us that we are most likely going to be able to accept the group because the minimum rate will match what we need and most likely their budget as well. Now the last thing we need to do is we need to find out how many rooms in total are they requesting. So 75 times 3, 225. What is the minimum contribution per room? So the total contribution needed divided by the total room nights of the group. Here again, negative 25 euros and 11 cents. Again, a good sign because that means that the group is going to bring us probably more money than the transient guests. To finalize this, what is the minimum rate? The negative amount here plus 30 euros for variable cost. And now you can see that your minimum rate here is extremely low, 4 euros 89 cents. Obviously, that's not what we're going to charge to the group. Would be ridiculous. We're going to go back and again verify their budget, which again here is 120. So that means we can accept the group one more time. Yes, we can. And we're going to agree to the budget of 120. Once more, we are actually charging them, let's say, round this up, 5 euros per room. Okay. So Compared to the 120 that the group is suggesting, or that is their budget, we're obviously going to again gain additional revenue. If you like to find that out, obviously quite simple, minus 515. We can tell you already now. So that definitely means that we're getting a lot of additional revenue. What happens, for example, if the group now comes and says, oh, I received a better offer of one of your competitors, and they're offering 100 euros per night. Can you match that offer? I still take all the meeting room, the F&B and audiovisual, but I want to decrease my budget to 100. Of course we can say yes, because our minimum rate is so low, and as long as we're never going to go below these 4.89 euros, we don't have any problem. So we can also say yes, we can give you 100 euros per night. The only difference is that we are obviously making a little bit less additional revenue. Here would be only 95 euros. But again, that's a very good result compared to our transient, with the 5,100 in rooms and some additional opportunity maybe in F&B and others. Again, not a guarantee. So with those 95 euros additionally that I'm getting per room per night, I would be very happy as a revenue manager. I hope that helps you with the exercises. You have still one more to complete to find out the minimum rate of the group and if you're accepting it.